and welcome to the Mantic Universe podcast for our fourth Fracture episode. And this time, not our last one, because we will add a lore episode as well. But this is the last one for the rules. And today with Ogres and, well, all the remaining armies and small little changes and our opinion to those. So I'm here with Danny again.
Hello again.
Hello. So this is another hot day in another hot week in Britain as well, I guess.
Yeah, I'm frazzled. Not quite as frazzled as I was last week, but I've basically spent the week trying to catch up with all the work that I missed last week because it was so hot. So it's cooler, but more exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, we have now gathered a little, how to say, moisture in there because it was now raining more or less every night, which doesn't help with the heat, but it just increases humidity, so it gets more of from a dry hot day to a jungle heat wave kind of thing. It's, well, you never know when you're just sweating or everything is wet because it's wet. So let's just jump into the rules and we go straight to command orders for the Ogres. We have 5 ones with nicely themed Ogre and Goblin ones. And there is the first 2 is to protect the tribe. That's on a 5+ with unengaged units or units that have received a charge order this turn only. So not for ongoing combats, and the unit gains the vicious special rule if the target unit is engaged in a combat involving another friendly unit with the goblin trait. Add +1 to the dice results when issuing this order. So we're talking about multi-charge order, so it's okay if you're alone, but getting better with goblins involved. So, Danny, what do you think of Protect the Tribe?
It's very good. Hitting on a 5, going off on a 5+. So it's basically, we had the elite before, that one's gone, and we've got vicious in its place. It's unengaged units or units that have received a charge order, so it won't be in ongoing combat. So it's literally the first round. But because it's on unengaged units, putting that on a unit out front, it might make an opponent think twice about charging something that's got vicious as well. Might just tip the maths in the opposite direction. And you get +1 with goblins. And as we're going to see later, goblins might be a little bit more prevalent in the list. So overall, it's about the same as elite. Some good there, some bad in comparison. Somebody once told me that vicious is exactly the same maths-wise as elite, but I don't trust that. I've always thought elite was better. Like, but you can't roll for vicious if you haven't already hit.
So the next order is Smoke Bombs on a 4+, units with the Tribal Strength or Goblin trait only, and the unit gains the Stealthy special rule until the start of its next turn.
That's exactly the same as it was before. It's not bad. If you put Stealthy on one unit, then obviously your opponent can just shoot something else. But if there's a particular unit you want to keep alive, or you've got one unit in cover and one not in cover, it just gives you a couple of options and protects you a little bit more against shooting. It's okay. We're not going to cry about it or rave. And next up, we've got quite a controversial one called That's Our Stash. And on a 4+, the unit gains +1 unit strength until the start of its next turn. What do you think about that one?
I like it. I mean, it's how to say. The name points out to the mercenary theme of the ogres in that one, and it's also a risky one. Like you want to grab that objective or fulfill your mission at the end of the turn 6 with that order, and
Yeah,
then you get a turn 7.
I think that's the issue with it. I think it's because it's so situational. I can't see it actually coming up that often, because you've got to be in a situation where the unit strengths are equal to your enemy, so you're going to want to cast it, and also you're going to have Ogre Commander within 12 inches to get it off as well, and
Yeah.
then it's got to get off. And the problem is, especially you'll find quite a lot of the time when people are playing ogres that your ogre characters at the very end of the game aren't next to the rest of your army. In the last turn or two, they've turned around and they've run like hell to grab another objective somewhere else. So because nimble single characters, large infantry, that's what they're brilliant at. So you're probably not going to find that you've actually got a commander in range anyway. They've got to have equal unit strength to the unit that they're contesting with, and you've got to get it off. So it's so situational. Every now and again, maybe once every 6 games, it might come up.
I think it's
with progressive scoring as well. Is it Rack and Ruin, where you've got the 2 dominate circles, and in turn, I think it's 3, 4, and 5, you contest them. Usually it plays like one person will get one side of the board, one person will get the other, and then you scrap over the middle objective on the last couple of turns. So it's usually quite a close one anyway. So in one like that, where you need more unit strength in one of the circles throughout the game, it could be a bonus. But as I said, because of the way I've seen most people play that one, it makes more sense to completely take one dominate circle and then move on to the center. So I don't think it'll even come up that much in that one either. It's a little something. I think it looks good to start off with, but the more you look at it, the less I think it's a good one.
It's the one that looks better than it actually is, or it looks more, how to say, more terrifying than it actually is from an opponent's point of view, when they say, you can increase unit strength, this is really strong and things like that, and I have to work against it. But then the Ogre player is thinking, use that once in every 5 game, it's not that big of a thing. So I would say it's good to have it. It's good to not forget it when you get into the situation where it's useful.
That's the point, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So, but it's actually cool that it's there. So because Ogre struggles sometimes with unit strengths, and when it's so go also might also be interesting to build into goblins now, because when you can take hordes with high unit strength and then cast +1 on them, it gets interesting. But it's as I said, I like it. It's a nice one. It's not situational, and I have no problem with situational commands. As better have 5 with 1 situational than just 2. The next one being the Goblin Explosives with a 5+, and when this unit makes a non-spell ranged attack in the ranged phase this turn, each successful roll to damage that scores a natural 6 causes 2 damage instead. So,
it's not great. For a start, you've got to get it off on a 5+, and if you actually look at the wording, on a natural 6 causes 2 points of damage. So you've still got to damage. So if you've got something like, say, shooters are the main long-range shooting one. So if they're shooting, staying still, shooting at long range, you're going to get 6 hits. So that's 6 possible chances. So out of that, you're on average going to get 1 6. So a unit of shooters is going to get 1 more damage. And that's only if it wounds. So, yeah, it'll do an extra point of damage on a 5+. I don't think it's worth it. Every now and again, you'll get like 3 6s and spike a roll, but not often.
I think that one is more interesting on targets that you wound on a 6 anyway. Because not sure, because ogres usually have piercing, but maybe with the goblins when you shoot, because when you shoot something with a high defense, when I say, okay, I need a 5 or a 6 to wound in general, and then I say, okay, every wound is now doubled. It's like instead of having just my 3 or 4 wounds, I make more. It's
Yeah, I think maximum you're going to get 1, maybe 2 extra wounds out of it. It's something if you've got a lot of shooting and you've got nothing else in combat, you don't need your unit strength 1. The opponent's got no shooting, so you don't need the stealthy. It's something to use when there's no situations where any of the others will come up. On a 5+, I think it's too expensive to cast, but it's there. Which brings us on to marching orders. On a 4+, large infantry only, when this unit is issued and at the double order, it can make 1 additional pivot during the move. In complete contrast to the others, I think this might be one of the best command orders in the game. Just because of the amount of flank charges you're going to be able to rack up, especially on units like Hunters with Pathfinder that can move 14 inches. If you've got a unit there facing the enemy, all you have to do is turn 14 inches through that wood, turn again. Next turn, you've got a flank charge your opponent didn't see you were going to have. So a really good player using this will be terrifying. If you cock up your deployment as well, just turn left, you're 12 inches down the board. It's facing the enemy. It's the possibilities of the sneaky little things you can do with this are terrifying. So out of all of the command orders, and on a 4+ as well, in the hands of a good player, this will really, really make ogres a terrifying army.
I think it also helps to go with the more faster units, and instead of just because when like the very classic ogre list, when everyone just take their hammer units, the siege breakers, which are rather slow, while I haven't seen hunters a lot actually.
I've seen a couple of units. I had an entire elemental army, all large infantry, and I came up a guy who had no warriors, and it was all hunters. And I was like, "Hang about! I'm now hitting you on 5s because you're ensnared, and you've got Slayer against me." I beat him because he made a couple of mistakes, but when I looked at the list, I was like, "No."
So can see worked as well with hunters, also with shooters. It's
even with siege breakers, even though they're slower, they're better in the front, so that'll give them the option of getting into a better place where you can present the front, whereas before you might have only been able to present a flank.
Siege breakers might be a tricky one here because the good player will make use of it, no question. But the medium to lower skill players, because you might expose your siege breakers too much if you just overexpose your units. When you just only get that one order of move them around, like moving hunters around, they have ensnare, they have pathfinder, they are low def anyway, while having siege breakers in the wrong place at the wrong time hurts.
Yeah, as I said at the start, in the hands of a good player, it'll take a lot of practice to get really, really good with this, but when you do, Yeah. This is one of the best. This is the best ogre command for me, and I think it's one of the best ones in the game.
I mean, I would say together with That's Your Stash, it makes the ogres a much more, it raises the skill gap a little bit to get really good with them, or to make most use out of the army. Well, it's a beginner-friendly army because you have a low amount of models with high defense, and they a little bit forgiving. But then there's the gap when you really need to get the experience to make the most use out of your command orders.
Yep. And they're
So
all
the
quite
next,
nicely themed as well. And
yeah,
speaking on theme, we now have in the Arcane Library the spell Stepstorm. Take it away.
yeah, and it's unique too for 25 points with 18-inch range, goes into close combat, and instead of causing damage, if any hits are scored until the end of its next turn, the target unit rerolls any natural to hit rolls of 6 for both ranged and combat attacks. The second result stands. So, reverse elite and vicious,
Yeah, and
if you want it that way.
it's on ranged attacks as well. So if you've got the stealthy, there's one. If you're facing a shooting army, and you've raced forward with those defense 4 hunters, you put the stealthy command on them, and then
Yeah,
you put this on. So they've got to hit probably on a 6. They then have to re-roll those 6s. That's quite nasty.
yeah.
It's only on a
So,
2, so you need. It's a little bit harder to get off, but it's great. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that one.
I mean, for 25 points, it's better than the stealthy spell. Um,
It's not
don't think.
amazing, but it's always going to be useful in any
Yeah.
turn.
Right, so let's jump to the units, and there are no big changes to core and auxiliary, except, I mean, there are changes, some small little things, like the hunters have their Slayer D6 exchanged for Slayer 3, which is, how to
It's
say,
a
more,
little bit worse because an average would be 3 or 4, so it's the lower end of average, but
yeah.
you're guaranteed that 3 every time. You're not going to roll a 1 or 2 on a important combat and cry yourself to sleep. So it's okay.
I think it also gives the balances hunter troops and regiments a little bit out, because how to say, taking a troop and then rolling a 6 makes them really strong, while
Yeah.
a regiment with rolling with 18 attacks and 1 or 2 more, yeah, whatever. It's like and so the troops are not definitely better than the regiment anymore, and it's worth considering both. So it's I think it's considered more about a balance change to make them both a little bit more consistent and tune the troops down.
I'm going to cover this next one because I'm really excited about it. We no longer have Red Goblin Rabble. We no longer have Sharpsticks. And we no longer have Spitters. They've all been put in a big pot, smushed up, poured into a new mold, and now we just have flat out Red Goblins. And they're a regiment, which is auxiliary, or is the Horde, which is unlocking. Now these guys, they're speed 5, melee 5, shooting 6, defense 4 plus, attacks 10 and 20, nerve 14 and 21, points 100 and 165. Basic goblin nonsense, but they've combined all the profiles, so you've now got phalanx and shortbows 18. And the important thing is they are unlocking units. You have a red goblin horde that unlocks, and anything that sticks up the middle finger to the Cortax, I am fully on board with. It's gonna create a far more balanced army, gives you lots more options. They're expensive for goblins, but that's not as much of a problem in an ogre list because they're still cheaper
Yeah.
than ogres, and they bring something different to the table. If you want a unit to sit on an objective at the back, 165 points isn't bad. They've got to get past your ogres to get to that unit, and still defense 4 at nerve 21. You're still going to have to chew through them, and the faster units that can get there, like cavalry and dracons and big horrible nasty flying nonsense like that, they've got phalanx, so they'll last a lot longer against units like that. I see nothing bad here.
So all being surprised to hear that from Danny once. Yeah, I have to say I really like this change. It makes much more sense for ogres to just have that one goblin unit instead of having the multiple ones. Also, from a modeling point of view, you can now go crazy with your horde, put everything together, all models that you have, mesh them up as you like with spears and bows and things. So it's a great thing from that side. And I think it's the cheapest horde you can take, or the cheapest large unit, because I think all regiments are more expensive, so it's not the cheapest unlocking core unit. That's still warriors with 130, but it's still the cheaper than all most regiments you have. So you get unit strength for cheap that unlocks now. I think it's
Yeah, it really broadens the army, gives you a lot more tactical options. And as we were saying before about the command order, who cares about the command order now? You've got a horde of unit strength 4 goblins to do it for you, and you can spend your command orders, put in marching orders on your hunters instead.
or
They'll
make
do a
it
little
unit
bit of
strength
blinking.
5.
Oh, yeah. What's it? Not the Staying Stone. What's it? The Orb of Towering Presence. Unit strength 5 Goblin Horde for what? That'll be 180 points. That's not bad at all. Do a little bit of shooting.
Yep.
They're going to contribute in every phase. They won't do much in combat, but there's still 20 attacks on 5+ if they get a flank charge. This is all that is good about the Ogre Army. You don't even need ogres anymore. You just need hordes of red goblins. Which brings us on to the next unit of red goblins, which is the Red Goblin Scouts. There is no change here from what I can see. Still just good fast cavalry, but they're all auxiliary, so they don't unlock. But having a speed 10 unit in reserve to nimble in there into a flank now and again, or just boom, straight for 150 points, just fling them up the flank, turn them sideways, and you've got a brilliant flanker. Or you can just hide them the whole game and run out in the last couple of turns to claim an objective. Defense 4, 15 nerve. They don't stand up to much, but on Thunderous Charge 1 and Vicious in combat with 14 attacks, they'll do a little bit of something. They're okay. For 150 points, who cares?
Yep. I might go into a break from the rules to go a little bit into a modeling aspect in here, because the main problem with the scouts and the sniffs is usually to work with the PVC models on there. But something I have done, and that's, I have to say, a little bit tricky to do, but not impossible for the average gamer. When you play Ogre Carriots, you get this nice, more beasts in front of them that you don't need to use, because I have built all my Ogre Carriots by using the steam machine instead of having it drawn by the more beasts. And then use the plastic goblins. I have a small heat gun to widen their legs on the bottom, to stick them on the plastic more beast from the carriots. And then you get, together with the bows from the plastic set, some nice improvised regiment of scouts or sniffs, if you want that. So
also as well, Rich Luke, he's one of the best ogre players in this country. He took all the resin more beasts that were in the Ratkin.
Yeah.
I've got 10 of them and I can't remember what they're bloody called now. But the more beasts in the Ratkin, they're all really, really, really nice resin ones. So he's just converted all of them. They convert up perfectly. Or you could be an idiot who started his Goblin army 2 years ago, painted up all the rabble, and then I have 30 sniffs and scouts to build and paint, and I just can't face it. They're sitting in a box screaming at me. I'm waiting until the goblins get redone, but I'll get to them one day, I promise. But speaking of hobby modelling, if you're struggling with PVC, I'll see if I can reach it from here.
So, dear listener, those who are on YouTube have now a nice vision of Dennis' shorts.
I'm actually sat in my pants because I got straight home from work, didn't have time to change. I was like, oh, I just stuck a t-shirt on. There were, it's like newsreaders. You're always seeing them in the suits talking away, and you're like, full well below the waist, they're just sitting there in the pants in the fluffy slippers.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but I can't reach it. But if you go to a sewing shop, you can get little thread burners. So basically, it's like a little mini heated wire it's like a pen with batteries in. It's got a little heated wire, and it melts the end of the thread so it doesn't fray. They are brilliant at heating up, and you just use the wire to burn away all the mold lines on PVC. It smells, so make sure you've got like some ventilation around you, but it just saves a whole lot of time and stress and effort. One of the other guys told me about that, and I've been using it ever since, and I love it.
Yeah, that's some great idea here. It's also do the Morbists in the Chariot still come with the extra? No, they had. I think they don't have extra heads, haven't they?
No, they don't.
No, I mean, one thing that you can always do if you have spare chariots from the Ogres or one of the older sets with the chariot in there that you don't need, you can always put. Make a goblin chariot in the middle of the sniff for scouts to reduce the model count needed, and just make a fighting wagon style of unit to stay full plastic. Just overload them with goblins from the plastic set to be.
I've got 2 regiments of chariots I've painted up with the Morbeasts, and I've left the backs clear, so I use them as tunnel runners for my Ratkin. I can put goblins on them for Goblin Army, and I can put ogres on them for the Ogre Army. So that's another really good hobby tip as well. If you can't be bothered to paint anymore, just paint the characters instead. I suppose if you do something like nasty barbarians as well, you could probably use them in Kingdoms of Men Army as like chariot mercenaries. So there's extra options.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were supposed to be talking about
ogres. Talk about the rules back again to this, and the last big change, not for the ogres, but for their opponents in the core section, are boomer troops are now auxiliary. So no unlocking small little shooting units anymore for the ogres.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, warrior troops are still unlocking at 130 points. They're brilliant thick chaff. They're great on flanks. Ogres, when they first came out in the rulebook, I did the review for the Tales of the Warriors Hall podcast, our friends up north. So I ran away for one episode. I betrayed you, but you can forgive me because I'm back to do it here.
I forgive you actually, because I really love to listen to the trolls out there, because it's a nice, very, I have to say, I love just the British accent when they're talking. They have this.
Oh no, then.
This nice storytelling vibe. So I really like to listen to the podcast. So shout out to the trolls, and you are completely forgiven to betray us for that one episode.
I like listening to podcasts when I'm going into tournaments. I like driving on the way to listening to the podcast to get me excited. And I was listening to their podcast, and I pulled into the event, and they were both just stood outside. And I wound down the window and just started staring at them. And they're like, why are they staring at me? And I slowly turned the volume up really, really loud. And they were like, what the heck? Oh, it's us! During that podcast, I said, I've stated several times, and I'm going to say it again, can't stand the Cortax. Hate it. One of the worst things that's ever happened to Kings of War. But the Ogres are one of the few armies that it doesn't bother so much. Because like Forest Shamblers in Force of Nature, Butcher Troops in Night Stalkers, they've got that cheap, solid, decent troop, large infantry unlock, and Warriors are it. So there's never anything bad about having extra troops or Warriors for unlocks. They'll always be good. You'll always be able to use them for something. Just good, solid. Yeah, so the Boomers losing that, I couldn't care less.
Yeah. I mean, it's one less option in there that is now replaced with the Goblins one, so it's a trade-off, but not a bad one.
No. So, on to Specialists. Berserker Braves are exactly the same as they were before. 30 attacks is nothing to sniff at. in one game at a tournament this year. They had the elite aura on them, and Nomagorok cast Banechant on them, and they deleted my unit of Earth Elementals in the front in one go. So on a 4+, they're okay, but when you start boosting them up, they just delete things, and they're terrifying. And with that wild charge as well, they'll be quite good with the marching orders command. Get them into a place. They're more likely to get flank charges now, especially with that wild charge. You get them up into the right position. That's a massive, potentially 15-inch charge. That's a lot of board control that people are just not going to want to go into because those 30 attacks coming in. Right. Yep. Shooters, they're the same. They've not gone up in points, I don't think.
No.
Exactly the same as before, but obviously now they've got the shooting command, which might get them an extra point of damage or two.
Boomers, no big change there. Boomer chariots, warrior chariots.
Yeah. Boomer chariots have actually gone up 3 attacks in the shooting.
Yeah.
Which is, they needed it, but unfortunately, well, there were 9 attacks, but with 12 attacks shooting, now they've gone down to 6 attacks combat, 15 attacks shooting. So, and they've gone up 5 points. So it's made them more of a specific role, but the choice between them and a unit for 45 points more, you're going to get a unit of boomers who've got 18 shots. They've also got 18 in combat. They've got 2 better nerve. They just lose 2 points of speed, whatever. If you've got someone you want to use them, go for it. But honestly, I don't think they're worth it.
I mean, they're now clear distinct from the regular boomers. And I mean, if you want a single fast shooting unit, you can take them. Yeah.
180 points. I mean, the multi-purpose, but 180 points. At that point, I'm going to be taking something else. That's going to do a lot more damage for
the regular boomer regiment is 225 points for 18 attacks. A little bit slower.
There's still 15 attacks for the warriors. Yeah, the warrior chariots are only 15 attacks, but for that extra 30 points, you're getting Thunderous Charge 2, hitting on 3s, defense 5. It's a better choice all round. So yeah, warrior chariots are exactly the same. They don't have the traits which give them the upgrade. They don't get the marching orders because they're not large infantry, but they're still a great unit. You've really got to pin them down, otherwise they will go over you.
Right. Let's jump into support because there we have two surprises coming up. The first one is our Mammoth. It's a Titan now with an 80 by 100 millimeter base, which is a great change for all the modeling opportunities out there. And I've played last weekend on an event, and everyone was so happy about the bigger base size because they got like, oh, have you heard it? The Mammoth changed. Yes, because everyone had models that doesn't fit like the previous chariot base anyway. Right. Otherwise, it's still like the classic Mammoth we have.
Yeah, Crush 2 and Thunder 2 with Strider. It's Speed 8 with Wild Charge 1, which is really important because Ogres really struggle against things like Cavalry because they don't have a lot of fast units that can match that. But a Mammoth will now have a charge of 17, which will be able to mitigate Cavalry. And because they've got Rampage D6, it's a lot of dead horses. They only hit on 4s, which is the main drawback with them. But they've still got 12 attacks and Brutal 1. They're fearless.
It's enough.
And at Defense 5, 18 plus, they're a little bit tougher than an Ogre Horde, an Ogre Regiment, 250 points. They're just a good, solid, decent unit. And with Strider as well, the army as a whole doesn't have a whole lot of Strider. So I think if you've got especially if you've got a battlefield where like you've got 2/3 of the board and then you've got a wood kind of in the middle, and then the rest of the board. That's the kind of unit that's really good at moving up into the woods, and then it's got a clear line of sight. It's defended against charges, and quite often it's units of cavalry and things like that that are going to be trying to sneak around those woods to get you in the bum later on. And that mammoth is your counter against things like that.
Yeah.
And right back in the mid 2000s, I was always jealous because one of my mates got one of the big Forge World war mammoths, and it was massive. I was like, I can't afford one of them. He near bankrupted himself to buy it, but I was still jealous, and it looked gorgeous, and I always wanted one. So hopefully, Mantic will do a vault.
I mean,
model.
there would definitely be a resin one out there, and yeah, there is another option. I mean, being in Central Europe, we have the advantage because there's I had to say a toy company out there. It's a Schleich.
Schleich. I've always wondered how
Yeah.
you say that.
Schleich. And they are interesting because they make those PVC toys figures that are usually from all kind of animals, from the classic farm animals to different exotic ones, and in different sizes. Like you can have your 5 centimeter crocodile and alligator, or that whole thing in 20 centimeter length, whatever you prefer. They make also dinosaurs, and they have a fantasy range that is called Eldrador, where they have actual nice, and I just tried to get that one on screen now for those in YouTube.
Yeah, they have
it's a little bit
quite
sorry.
nice elemental models and
Yeah.
dragons and things like that. I've
And
seen
so
a
they-
couple over the years, mainly in second edition when we didn't have as many model choices from Mantic, but they're still great.
The one thing that's often seen is because they have a very nice earth elemental that like everyone around here uses as a greater earth elemental to put on a base, because it just needs a little bit of painting and is done. But they also have a mammoth. Give me just one more second, because the usual website pictures aren't often suitable to get direct in. And
Well, there's a couple of other options. I've seen people use the Workshop Ogre Thunder Tusks from the Ogre range. Oh, that's nice. The weirdly as well from the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones miniature game.
yeah,
Got a friend who plays that, and the mammoths from there, they're really nice.
so I think, and those monsters are, because these are large PVC models aimed at kids, though they are more or less like recommended age is 6 by the website of Schleich. So, and they are about,
Yeah.
I think, somewhere around 20 euros or 10 to 20 euros. And
I can't use
mammoth,
that. Way too old for that.
yeah. And the mammoth that's on the screen is given as a size. It's 10 by 8 by 16. So should
that
fit the new
centimetre?
base size.
Is that centimeters?
Yeah. It's not
So
inch. So it's
180 centimeters, 180 millimeters. No, that'd be way too big for the base.
no, it's
Unless-
10 by 8 centimeters. So we have 100 by 80 millimeter space. So it should be right above,
Yeah,
right
we'd fit
fitting in.
Yeah.
So Mantic, that's the model you need to beat. So surprise us with the Vault and Racine one. be better than the Germans, you know. It's
Unfortunately, I will never use a mammoth because I love the red Goblin Slasher model too much. I've got one of the resin ones, and I've just got a 3D printer working again. I've had the Vault for 2 years and I haven't actually used it yet. So when my friends was like, does anybody want a 3D printer? I've got a new one. I was like, yep. So
Yep.
he told me that cheap, and I've done some Night Stalker stuff already. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna print off 2 more Red Goblin
I mean,
slashers,
say
and you can
talking.
have more than 2, which is really nice.
Yeah, you can fill your support with mammoth. So this is like the one big thing in here. Let's go. The other big one for support is the Bigot is moved from a champions to the support role for Ogres, which is a much better fit in general.
Yeah,
With
I
that
mean
models, you
he doesn't get the command orders now, but he's still rallying goblins, and now you're going to be taking those hordes which you weren't taking before. He's inspiring for them, and at 80 points, inspiring and rallying for those unit strength 4 goblins that could win you the game.
yeah. Especially as you at the very beginning said that Ogre commanders are usually spread out on the board, especially in the late game. So there's no one
Yeah,
sitting back, keeping an eye on the goblin hordes, sitting on your objectives. So having a support model for 80 points sitting there around, giving them inspiring, having rallying on them. You might even give them a flea bag for the higher speed 10 if you think you need the versatility of a, how to say, one turn cheap flyer blocker. Well,
and it'd be also very good at hunting war machines.
yeah. So definitely the most surprising support choice in the army now.
Yeah, it's a
So
good decision though.
yeah,
Then
and
we've got Giant still there. He's exactly the same as before.
yeah,
Pretty decent. Still can't hit a barn door no matter how many times you roll. And that brings us on to champions. We've got a brand new sergeant model.
yeah. It's I would say the model is an interesting one because it's a definitely different style than the others that we have. But I have to say I like it to the point that not all Ogre heroes are looking exactly the same.
Yeah, they're all very
It's
distinctive. They're all quite dynamic. They're all in good different poses. They're great.
yeah.
And what I like about
So
this one is, as well, you've got 1 warlord and 3 champions. And seriously, Mantic, when they released the Basilian Hero Pack, they've got 3 bloody warlords and 1 champion in there. It's like,
yeah,
no. No. Look at what you're selling.
so I think the sergeant lost the crossbow option that now went to the boomer sergeant. Otherwise, it's still the same. Can be mounted on chariot, exchange the shield for more crushing, get the crucial 160 point. Yeah. I think only really an option if you want to go cheap or play lower points, because I think if you want something on a chariot, a fighting hero, you are going for the warlord. And for everything else, the other champion option are more exciting, I would say.
I think he's actually a really good choice because for 15 points, 25, or was it 15 points more for the warlord, and the warlord's getting 2 more attacks and 2 more nerve. But the champion, he's still got elite, and he's only taking up a champion slot, which means you've unless you specifically want the warlord for upgrades, he's a good choice. And it's the same price as the matriarch, and she's defense 4, he's defense 5 with elite. Still inspiring. He's a good choice. He's an
Yeah,
option.
it's an option. As is the next one, the Berserker Bully.
The Berserker Bully is not an option. The Berserker Bully is compulsory because they're one of the best things in the list. I'm having no arguments. I love them.
No, they are even getting better because now regiments of Berserker Braves in this battalion are core choices. So, yeah.
Berserker Braves should have been core to start with. There's no excuses, but now at least. And you're going to be taking Berserker Bully anyway. So, yeah, essentially Berserker Braves are now core choices.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
perfect idea.
Yeah, for that 8 attacks hitting on 3s, crush 2, and because they've got the wild charge D3 as well, they can get in there. They're terrifying. One of my favourite
Yeah.
things to do with these models is if you've got a piece of impassable terrain, that's a decent size, can hide him, put him right in front of that, move him 12 inches up onto the board and turn him sideways, and all of a sudden, none of your enemy will want to go past that piece of impassable terrain because they're going to get those 16 attacks on 3s at crush 2 with brutal 1 in the flank for like cheap amount of points. They're fantastic.
Right. So, next unit is the Ogre Warlock, which is more or less the same. And
Except he
do I
can
miss?
spell now, which gives him a couple more options.
Yep.
They don't have the lightning bolt. In 3rd edition, you could really rack up a lot of lightning bolts, and quite often you see quite a lot of Ogre Warlocks and nothing else. And when they had the Drain Life upgrades and stuff, they were with one Clash of Kings. I faced 3 bloody Ogre armies with 2 to 3 Shield Breaker hordes, loads of Warlocks, and it was just horrible. They fixed it in the update, but I'm glad we don't see that again. But again, he's an option. He's just not a great option anymore, I don't think. He'll do what he needs to do. He's fairly cheap for an Ogre character. I think his best option is probably the Drain Life, maybe the new spell as well. When we talk about another unit in a moment, there's another spell I think that will come in handy. But onto the Boomer Sergeant, he can now replace his boomsticks with a heavy crossbow. I don't like him in this edition because he's too expensive for what he does. He's one of the best models in the Ogre range, but 140 points before he was only, was it 80, 90? And he was one of the best chaff pieces in the game, especially for Ogres. Great for getting objectives. I mean, he can give out command orders still, but he doesn't have that inspiring. So if you want him in that role, you might want to give him the inspiring talisman. Then he starts getting up in points. And the defense 4 for 13 nerve is quite squishy for an Ogre. I don't think he's worth it anymore. But again, gorgeous model.
Yep.
The Paymaster, I've been excited quite a bit. I think it's your turn.
No, we are all excited about the Ogres to a point. The Paymaster is an interesting model. So this is our army standard model with very inspiring for 130 points, still 3 attacks. And we got it's the old Vanguard model with having the contract high up, so that one base. And you get a unique upgrade for him. And one Paymaster army can be upgraded to Doka Morogrok for 20 points, and at the start of Tok's turn, one friendly unit within 6 inches of him gains +2 to the nerf value until the beginning of its next turn.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's very inspiring. I hadn't actually noticed the Army Standard has actually gone from the list, and we've just got the Paymaster now.
Yeah. So we are going full into the mercenary theme in there with having the Paymaster being the army standard. I like that.
Yeah.
In general, and a lot of people out there have the Paymaster model from Vanguard and want to use it. The only sad thing for me is it's missing the Chariot option because I have put mine on Chariot as it should be. So now needing to removing and going back to being a normal infantry model. But we'll see.
Yeah, that 2+ nerve is fantastic. Yeah. And again, he's only 3 attacks. Defense 5, 13 nerve. He can stand there for a little bit, but that very inspiring. And he's giving out commands. And only 130 points. You can't sniff at that.
Yeah.
Rockamora, we won't go into because everybody has already listened to the amazing Champions ranking episode that we did a couple of weeks back. So you already know she's fantastic. So we're now on to Warlords. The Warlord himself, 180 points, so he's gone up 5, but he's also got a new rule, and this might be one of the most significant changes. Any warriors regiments in this battalion may be upgraded to a horde, gaining 12 attacks, nerve 25, and with a base size of blah, 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 for 90 points. So that, the
It's a
old warrior...
big unit.
Yeah, the old legions used to be 36 attacks, I think. So
Yeah.
not quite as punchy. However, as we were talking about in the Warriors, in the Force of Nature list, a lot of the game now is pushing towards these big units, the Orc Great Axe Horde, the Tribal Warriors Horde for Northern Alliance, Palace Guard Hordes, and Ogres, although they're very punchy, don't have anything that level of nerve and that level of punchiness that they can literally stand there and go toe to toe with. But that gives the Ogres that option. A Horde's only going to be Crush 1, but that is the type of unit you want to be putting your Brew of Sharpness on, your Brew of Strength on, giving it Vicious. If you've got Nomagorok, give it Bane Chant. Those units will just delete. So I think the
No,
Warlord
you
is
won't
one
give
of the
them
prime...
Bane Chant. Because you can't take 2 warlords.
You can, if you're clever, and you have a line of chaff of warrior troops. And because they're only 130 points, you're gonna, if your big legions are killing stuff, you're gonna need something to run around and stay alive and
Yeah.
steal objectives, get flank charges, be thick chaff, and all those warrior troops, 130 points, you can just have loads of them. So you can have your 2 warlords if you want. And you can have your 2 cheap rabble hordes at the back for objectives. You've got your 2 big hordes to do all the damage. You've got 2 awesome characters there to help out. And then you've got all these extra troops for doing all the additional stuff. Holding stuff up, getting flank charges. So it's quite easy with Ogres to get those 2 warlords. And I think it's worth it.
Might be a very interesting list to play with 2 warrior hordes on 2 battalions to get the nice stuff. Not something that we have seen a lot actually in the past or in general. This is like...
I've seen them quite a bit in 3rd edition. I've seen quite a few players take them. I think somebody did really, really well. Might have been at US Masters, took 3 Ogre Legions. They're just so hard to deal with. And especially now, you can only attack with 2 units to 1 facing. That makes them a lot more durable. And if you've got your cheap Paymaster as well, giving them +2 nerve, then they're going up to nerve 27. Also, when I was talking about the Ogre Warlock earlier, I think giving them Bastion is a really, really good choice as well. Because you put Bastion on your warrior troops, or if you put Bastion on one of these units, it basically gives it +1 nerve and then makes it rallying. So if you've got all those line of warrior troops in front of it as essentially thick chaff, they all now become nerve 15. And it's got such a massive, massive footprint. You're basically giving your entire army +1 nerve just for casting Bastion on this 1 unit. So there's a lot of awesome stuff you can do with hordes. Again, only 30 attacks, but in a trade-off against Palace Guard hordes and Great Axe, you're winning.
Yeah, definitely. So the next warlord is the warlord on chariot, which stays the same. It makes chariots in this battalion a core choice. So
it's gone up 5 points just to destroy your current army list.
I mean, basically the 5 points, as we already discussed in the Abyss review, are more or less the tags for having more or different commands. Because as far as we have seen, the command orders are pointed into the unit choices or the commander choices. So having more commands or better commands, and those go up in points as well in general. So it's fair, but just this like the usual 5 points for everything, more or less. And this brings us to the next big thing. He's back.
Who's
deal.
back? He's back.
Yeah.
The big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
He's 320 points. So he's, 70 points more than a regular mammoth? And what do you get for that? You get +2 nerve. You get +3 attacks. You actually go down a point of speed. But you're brutal too. He's still got the rampage, still got the inspiring. But he's gone crushing strength 3, thunderous 1, so he can grind a bit better. I'm not entirely sure he's worth the extra 70 points. That nerve 20 is not going anywhere. Under the old rules, he did give out brutal to another unit close by. If he'd had that as well, I'd almost think he'd be worth the 320 points. I think he might be a bit too expensive.
I mean, he still issues command with 3 dice.
Yeah, but again, the ogre commands aren't quite as powerful as I thought they'd be. And you've got so many ogre hero choices. You could get 2 other characters for that. You could get another matriarch. You could get another berserker bully. And I think they'll do, and then have a mammoth in support choice. Anyway, it is a fun choice. And the big deal, Jesse, I only met him once because he's American, but he came over for Clash of Kings. He's a lovely lad. And he was always at the tournaments. And he loved his mammoths. I think the big deal was put in because of him. So it's lovely that he's back in the game. Shouldn't be taken out in the first place, but it's nice to have it back.
Yeah. I think this will definitely be a vault upgrade to the regular mammoth, depending if the one is a regular Resine release and with an upgrade, or both are SDL, but we will see a model for that one. Saying model,
that speed 7 hurts it compared to the speed 8 for the other mammoth.
Yeah.
Said the speed 8 one's got a very definite anti-cavalry roll, whereas this guy's just the big chunky boy who'll get in and smash face.
I mean, thinking about playing a mammoth heavy list, like taking more than 2 in support and 10 the warlord, might be an interesting choice.
They've got quite long bases, so they're a bit more susceptible to flank charges, so you have to protect them more in that regard. Again, they're great. They're going to make one hell of a mess on the battlefield. Yeah, they're good. Again, but 320 points, that's painful.
Yeah.
Will it make its 320 points back over a game? That's what I want to know. Who knows? We'll get some ogre players to have a go, and they can all tell me it's worth it.
Yeah. I know at least several who have a great model for it and will tell you that it's worth it just for bringing their model back into the game. So, yeah. I have more or less a big deal model, but mine is a little bit different because I have printed out the slasher model and then put the PVC Ogre with the guitar on top of it as a big deal. Maybe I'm using that one again.
Have you painted it with Kiss makeup, though?
Nope.
It's not a big deal then, is it?
Now I went for the Mad Max Fury Road theme with the flamethrower.
Mad Max, Tina Turner then.
no, the
We don't
latest
need
one.
another hero. That was the best Mad Max. Enter the Thunderdome.
So
Tina Turner into anything, it immediately.
Yeah, that's the one.
So, Tina Turner is the big deal. Never mind the mama.
Right. So the next or the last 3 ones is the matriarch, where
I think she's my favorite. Yeah, I think she's my favorite warlord choice because, I mean, she's only defense 4, 5 attacks. She's not kicking out as much hurt as the others, but she's still crushing strength 2, For only 165 points, she's rallying and very inspiring. So if you
Yeah.
just want a good solid warlord to support the rest of your troops, especially warrior hordes, I think she'd be very good at with just
Yeah.
giving that extra rallying and inspiring. She can cover more than most units. Most characters only have inspiring. So if you've got a line of 3 warrior hordes, having her behind, she can rally them all. She can inspire them all. So depending on your list, but she's good, solid quality choice.
And
We've got
2
Nomagarok
unique ones. Yeah.
and Grockamarok. They are pretty much the same. I can't see any differences apart from they're both going up again 5 points.
Yeah. And the Siegebreaker upgrade is now an optional choice.
And wait, stop. Hammer time.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. I just wasn't. Saying Tina Turner had got me in the mood, so I thought we needed a little musical interlude. So yes, Grockamarok may take the Hammer Time upgrade for free. So Siegebreakers become specialist choices. So he can take it. It doesn't automatically make them specialist. So that gives you options if you want to take him, but you've got a lot of specialist units already that you want to take, and you want to keep them in support. You can do that. It gets very, very complicated, all these unlocks. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, and if you do it, you have to say hammer time at the beginning of each game.
Wait, stop. Hammer time.
Yeah. It's,
I'm old
doesn't
school.
sound that well.
I've always been more of a stop in the name of love kind of guy. But, you know, it's probably a generational thing. I'm not actually that old, but, you know, still. I think that's everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been the Ogre. We about an hour in, and yeah, the least. I mean, how to say, the fewest changes, but not the least exciting ones, because I think the Goblin unique, or the merging Goblin units into one single one, is still one of the biggest changes we're looking forward to from Factor. I'm also quite happy with the Ogres.
When they started this edition, they're like, we're just trying to simplify everything. And they stripped out a lot of fun, a lot of theme. When I looked at it all, I'm like, I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. I think when they get a lot of feedback from the players over the term of 4th edition, I think a lot of the changes they're going to make are slowly going to shift back towards 3rd edition. And looking at this list and a lot of others, you can see that happening. Like Berserker Brave should have been a core choice. There's no reason they shouldn't have been. They just felt like they needed to be in specialist because, you know, we need specialist units or whatever. And now there's an option to have them as core, having chariots as core. More things need to be where you want to make an army of them, not just I've got to paint all this horrid crap I don't want to paint just so I can have the units I do want to paint. So it is shifting more towards what the old list was, but we've got all the awkward unlocking options to do it. There's a lot that's changed in this update doing that. In some ways, it's really good. And as we're about to see in some of the other options, it's a bit of a head scratcher with possibly some swearing from some other people.
So,
but overall, the Ogre list, it's got some good changes. And the Red Goblin Rabble thing, that is a simplification, but it also adds in theme. It's really good for the list. That is exactly the type of thing that we need to be seeing in lists happening. It's fun. It opens up the army list for more options, more tactics. It's got great modelling opportunities. Everybody loves goblins. Even if they say they don't, they're lying because goblins are so much fun. They're fun to paint. It's just one of those units that really completes the army. And it's one of those types of things that Ogre armies can be a bit boring. It's just like loads of large infantry. This is really going to add some colour, add some height, and having the extra characters like the Big Deal brought back in is good. I think some of the command orders are a bit swingier. Some are fantastic. Some are you'll never barely ever use. The spell's good. Overall, the Ogre army was a thumbs up before, and it's an even bigger thumbs up now.
Yeah. So let's jump a little bit into the other things in the book. As I said, the lore will be covered on a dedicated episode, but we also got a rules update with Fracture. And first of all, we have updates from the battlefield, it's called. And the last fake and errata is printed into this book, which is like great. So
No, you're going to have to read through all this again because some things have changed from the FAQ. I don't want to swear. We need a substitute word. Let's go with goose because it's an angry duck. Duck rhymes with. Right. So
yeah, I don't know.
So straight away we've got a clarification on base sizes because we've got heavy infantry, monstrous infantry, titans, blah blah blah, and they put a bit in the rule book making them legacy, but still kept them in because they didn't want people to change their armies too much. But so they've got all the rules, but they want to make them legacy, which isn't like technically part of the rules, and it was quite confusing. I don't know why they just didn't keep it in, and now they've put in another page explaining about legacy. So they've actually, to simplify the game, they've had to print 2 pages explaining what legacy units are.
Yeah,
They've
I
spent
think this
more
was
time, more effort, more text explaining that swarms are actually large infantry when they could have just kept them from swarms and saved all the hassle. Like I said, it was supposed to simplify stuff. They've complicated it. I have no idea why. It was just easier keeping. We introduced
bad wording, I think, because calling it legacy gives the wrong impression from just simply calling some things were different in last edition. Please be aware of, like it most of the hero choices. I think putting heavy infantry and monstrous infantry, not like titans, into the section in front of the rulebook where it should have been, it would have been easier for people and avoided much more hassle. And I think they've done it in the free rulebook they've printed out, where they mentioned now heavy infantry at the very beginning instead of the backside, so it should be easier in future. Right. So let's jump into the errata from the last rulebook and invasion.
Yep, we've got 2 full pages of this. Some of it's from the FAQ. There's lots of little bits like missing end values for iron resolve. Things like the captain on voyage skiff is missing fly. Bound terror should have chrome bound. Basically, just go through and read them all yourself because there's quite a bit to go through. A lot of it you won't even notice. There are a couple of significant changes, however. One of them is loot counters. From round 2 onwards, when one of your units ends a phase of its own turn on top of the contact with a loot counter, it can pick it up. So basically, it means you can't pick up loot counters from round 1.
Yep.
You can only pick them up if they're in your deployment zone. So that's quite significant. If you're sending up units to pick stuff up quickly, get into a decent position, it's going to slow the game down a fair bit, I think. Another one on loot counters. If you withdraw, you must drop loot counters. I think that was in the FAQ, and that's important because you get you don't, because they've got ensnare. Then they withdraw through that big line of horrible sea monsters behind it. Spend the rest of the game regenning. You can't get to them and kill them in time, and you win the game. So it's stuff like that has been interesting to change. Thonar is missing the individual special rule, which is quite a big change for orcs because he now means he no longer gets flanks or rears, which before really happy with this one. After the page 68, individual units in the rulebook, they could pick up loot counters. Then in the FAQ, they couldn't pick up loot counters, and now they can pick up loot counters, but can only be given the halt or change facing movement orders. So that's 2 changes to quite a key rule in 6 months. And that's the type of thing that should have been in the rulebook from day one, sorted out before the game was released. It's the type of thing where you'll be playing a game and you're against your opponent and you're like, oh, he's going that. It's like, you've lost. It's like, no, I haven't. He's got the loot counter. Yeah, but you can't move with him. Great. So I've lost the game just because basic rules. It not just like, you know, they didn't quite word something properly. That's like a significant change, and that'll change your army list, because if your individuals can't pick up loot counters now, you're going to want to change your army list to have something that can pick up loot counters. People go on things that balances the game is that it's an objective game. So you can have a gunline army, but that means it's going to be bad at scoring objectives and you're going to lose.
So, dear listener, I hope you enjoyed this brief review of the Ogres and our raging about modeling possibilities and opinion on the army list. And if you have any further questions or want to say something, add something, your own opinion on the list, please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, Apple Music, wherever you're listening. And dear listeners and watchers on YouTube, wherever you're listening, I wish you a good morning, day or night, and goodbye.